Hello, and welcome to Unlocking the Puzzle of Citation Systems, one of the SLCC Writing Across the College mini videos. These short videos introduce you to important issues relevant to student writing and learning. They simply ask you to think about these issues and consider how you engage with them in your teaching. Nothing more, nothing less. One of the recurring complaints that faculty make about student writing is that students never seem to understand how to use the citation system required of them. I'm not talking about plagiarism issues, which are entirely different concerns, but instead the process of selecting and then following the formats of different academic styles, such as APA, MLA, or Chicago. One reason for this common complaint is similar to why concerns about mechanics, such as grammar, punctuation, and spelling, are raised so frequently. These elements of writing are perhaps those that can be somewhat objectively interpreted as right or wrong. Even if there are some disagreements about particulars of writing styles, if a word is spelled wrong or a source is cited incorrectly, it's easily noticeable. And when we notice it over and over, it can get really frustrating. For a moment, however, let's consider it from the student perspective. Most students know that they need to cite their sources. They know that they need bibliographies or footnotes or something to indicate where they got their research from. Many students may have used APA or MLA in high school or in other college courses. A handful of students might be comfortable with them, but they are typically still newcomers to academic writing. It's really not until upper-level undergraduate or graduate courses that one begins to feel at home in a certain style of writing. On the other hand, we faculty developed our comfort levels with a certain citation system through years of study in a particular discipline. By the time we have earned our master's degrees or PhDs or some other advanced degree, we've been thoroughly schooled in the way language is used in that field, so much so that it may seem almost natural. We don't even have to think about it, except when the citation systems change their versions, which we all grumble about every few years. This should make sense to everyone. Students at SLCC are learning how to write academically and will make mistakes. They won't do it as well as faculty do. But what happens when we tell students which citation system to follow and even give them examples or a website resource so they can see how to do it? Frustratingly, even with this instruction and guidance, students still don't seem to be able to follow the rules of a citation system. That's when we might start pulling our hair out. Why is it so hard for students to get this right? It's not rocket science, right? No, it's not. And some of the responsibility for poor student performance in this area lies with students not paying attention or simply not caring whether one does it right. At the same time, however, faculty shoulder some of the responsibility for this dilemma. This is because faculty, in high school and in college, almost never, if ever, explain why all of these different citation systems exist in the first place. Yet even without this conceptual understanding, students are expected to understand the details, rules, and boundaries of one system as compared to another. That's a tall order indeed. As you may or may not remember from your own college experience, one teacher says use MLA. Then in your next class you are told to use APA. In another, you need to follow IEEE. Still another says Chicago is the academic citation system. What's missing here? Why and how? Why do different citation systems exist? How are they different from each other? Why do you want me to use this one? Why can't I use it in other places? Without this understanding, all students hear are instructions to use one code over another, but those codes have no meaning. In that context, MLA is as interchangeable with Chicago as it is with APA. So students mix and match. As long as they're not plagiarizing and are citing a source, then they must be doing it right. What if we went one step further when we tell students which citation system we want them to use? What if we explained why these different systems exist? Composition faculty do this work, but it often gets dismissed as something my writing teacher taught me. If students hear similar messages in all of their courses, they will develop a conceptual or critical awareness that will make it possible to move more flexibly amongst the different citation systems. They will be able to use that awareness to understand how to interpret the different rules of the different systems. So why do all these different citation systems and styles exist? It's not just because they do. Citation systems, or styles, of different academic fields are gatekeepers for that discipline or disciplines. Academic disciplines are highly competitive, internally and with other disciplines that are similar to them. When scholars publish in an academic field, publishing agents, such as professional organizations, journals, books, etc., have determined styles that they believe are best suited to the transmission of knowledge among their field. To write in a selected style means that the writer belongs to that field. To not write in that style means they don't belong. Styles and citation systems are a way of maintaining control over the flow of knowledge within a field. Students should be introduced to this discussion of citation systems in their composition courses, but the more often they hear it, the more likely it is that they will internalize it earlier in their education. So instead of just saying, in education, we use APA, simply add another few sentences to it. You've probably noticed in your classes that different teachers ask you to use different citation systems. These different systems determine which kinds of writing, and therefore which professionals or scholars belong to a certain academic field and which do not. This class is a part of the field of fill in the blank, and that field most often uses fill in the blank style and citations. If you happen to know why a particular system is organized in a particular way, for example, why MLA puts the page number, not the date, in the in-text citation, but APA puts the date, consider sharing that as well. We're not done quite yet, however. In addition to this conceptual instruction, be sure to provide your students with a resource to the style that you want them to use. Don't just let them loose on the internet because they'll find a bunch of junk out there. If you don't have any resources, the SLCC library has loads of them to support students to develop their information literacies. The Purdue Online Writing Lab, or the Purdue OWL, is well supplied on APA, MLA, and Chicago styles. The University of Pittsburgh library system has links to multiple citation styles. It might take you a few minutes to locate a website that your students can use, but it will be well worth your time and will lower your frustration. One final comment on citation systems. Remember that they frequently change to meet the ever-changing sources of information. If you have a specific version that you are requiring students to use, you need to make sure they have access to it. There are so many different versions floating around on the web that students will inevitably find the wrong one. If you are interested in looking more closely at how to support student writing in your classes, consider registering for other videos and workshops through the Office of Faculty Development, or contact the Writing Across the College Director at wac@slcc.edu, call extension 3232, or check out the website at www.slcc.edu/WAC.